Proven secrets to calm your internal voice and achieve true peace. I discovered the proven secrets to calm your internal voice and achieve true peace. What happened next will change you forever. I was standing barefoot on a cliff at sunrise, the ocean crashing below, and something inside me had finally shattered. Not from pain, but from silence. Real silence. For the first time in my life, the voice in my head, the one that never stops judging, planning, comparing, panicking, was gone. And in that stillness, I heard something else. I'm about to take you on a journey that will completely dismantle the noise within your mind and lead you to a level of peace you've probably never imagined was possible. But I need you to promise me one thing: stay with me. Watch till the very end. Because what happens later in this video is something no one has ever shown online before. Not in this way. Not with this depth. You're going to hear the secrets I've uncovered after years of suffering, wandering, searching. Secrets that most people don't even know exist. It starts like this. For years, I felt like a prisoner inside my own skull. I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean it literally. From the moment I woke up to the moment I collapsed at night, my inner voice was relentless. You know the one I'm talking about, that constant commentary that never shuts up. It says things like, "You're not good enough. Why did you say that? They think you're stupid. What if everything falls apart tomorrow? Be careful. Don't trust them. Don't trust yourself." And here's the crazy part. That voice sounds like you, doesn't it? But what if I told you it's not? I didn't always know that. I used to think I was the voice. That it was me speaking to myself, keeping me safe. But over time, I realized something terrifying. That voice wasn't protecting me. It was suffocating me. And the more I listened to it, the more anxious, depressed, and fragmented I became. So I did something insane. I sold everything I owned, disconnected from everyone I knew, and went on a solo journey across deserts, mountains, and forests in search of just one thing: silence. Not the kind of silence you find in a quiet room. The kind of silence that comes from inside, the silence that exists behind the voice. And that journey led me to a cave in northern India, buried deep within a forgotten mountain. I stayed there for 33 days, without my phone, without any books, without speaking to another human being, just me and the voice. But it wasn't until day 11 that everything changed. I was meditating when I suddenly had the sensation of my thoughts peeling away like layers of an onion. I saw them, the anxious voice. The voice of shame. The voice that always wanted control. And then, behind all of them, silence. I thought I was going crazy. But then, this is the part that will blow your mind, I felt a presence beside me. I hadn't heard anyone enter. But I felt them. And when I opened my eyes, there was a figure in white robes standing at the edge of the cave. I couldn't see his face clearly, but he whispered in perfect English. The voice in your head is not your enemy. It's just never been seen. Then he disappeared. I didn't sleep that night. I kept hearing those words echoing in my soul, it's just never been seen. What did that even mean? And why did it feel like a prophecy? The next morning, I had a realization that changed everything. The voice wasn't evil. It was wounded. It wasn't trying to hurt me. It was trying to be heard. And because I ignored it or fought it, it got louder and more destructive. Think about this: what if your internal voice is just a younger version of you, trapped in fear, yelling to get your attention? So I tried something new. I sat down and I listened to it. Not as an enemy, but like a scared child. "Why are you so afraid?" I asked. And the voice responded, not with words, but with emotions, memories, all the moments I had rejected myself, times I'd buried pain just to move on. And suddenly, the inner voice didn't sound cruel anymore. It sounded like a cry for help. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just sat with the noise in your head and asked it, what are you trying to protect me from? You might be surprised by the answer. Here's what I realized next: the path to peace is not by killing the voice. It's by loving it, holding space for it, and gently leading it to stillness. Now here's where things get weird. On day 20, I had a dream. In the dream, I was standing in a vast desert with thousands of mirrors floating around me, each one showing a different version of me. Some were angry, some were sad, some were ecstatic, others were pure chaos. Then the same figure appeared again and said, "These are all the voices you carry, but you are the one who sees." And in that moment, I understood. We are not the voice. We are the awareness behind it. That was my first spiritual breakthrough. And I swear to you, when I woke up, everything felt different. The cave was the same. The world was the same. But I wasn't. I had tasted something deeper than thought. I had remembered who I was. Now, before I continue with what happened next, which includes the most mysterious spiritual phenomenon I've ever experienced, I want to ask you something deeply personal. When was the last time you felt truly still inside? Not distracted, not entertained, not even relaxed. I mean truly still, peaceful beyond thought. Most of us never get there, because the internal voice won't let us. But here's the good news: the voice can be calmed. There is a way. And it's not complicated. It's ancient. It's sacred. And it's something I'm going to share with you step by step, because if I could find peace after living a life that felt like internal warfare, so can you. But be warned, once you start this path, there's no going back. You'll start seeing the world differently. You'll lose interest in things that used to control you. And you'll gain access to something few people ever touch in their lifetime. A silence so alive. It speaks. And just when I thought the silence had reached its peak, something happened. It was midnight on day 26. I was meditating under the stars, when I felt the ground beneath me hum, literally vibrate with a frequency I had never felt before. My entire body began to tingle, and my breath stopped. Then I heard a voice, not in my head, not in my ears, but everywhere. It said, "You are ready to receive the gift." What happened next left me speechless. My heart opened, not metaphorically, but energetically. I felt wave after wave of what can only be described as infinite peace flowing through me. I wept. I laughed. I surrendered. The voice inside me? Gone. Replaced by presence. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't need to. I just was. And when the sun rose the next morning, I understood something I had to share with the world. With you. We've been lied to about what peace is. It's not the absence of problems. It's not comfort. It's not positive thinking. It's not even quiet. True peace is recognizing that you are not your thoughts, and choosing to rest in the space between them. It's learning how to hold your inner voice in love, without being ruled by it. And in the next segment, I'm going to reveal what the gift truly was, what that mysterious presence gave me, and how it led me to create a daily practice so powerful that everyone I've taught it to has experienced immediate inner silence, often within minutes. What's more shocking is how this practice is hidden in plain sight, in every major spiritual tradition, yet most people miss it entirely. The next part will change the way you relate to your mind forever. He told me the gift would shatter my ego. I didn't know it would also show me heaven. When the voice said, "You are ready to receive the gift," I didn't know it would change the way I experience reality itself. Let me take you back to that moment. I was still sitting on the stone floor of the cave, my body completely still. Yet inside me, it felt like galaxies were swirling. I didn't feel human. I didn't feel separate from anything. And then, this is hard to describe, I felt a transmission. Not a voice. Not an idea. But a knowing. Like someone downloaded a truth directly into my soul. The message was this: peace is not found by silencing the voice. It is found by no longer identifying with it. That was the gift. And instantly, I saw it. We've been doing it backward our entire lives. We try to shut the voice up, argue with it, drown it in distractions, or numb it with pleasure. But the real power lies in stepping back and realizing, you are not the one speaking. You are the one watching. Imagine you're in a movie theater, and the film playing is your thoughts. But you are the one sitting in the chair, watching the film. You are the observer, the witness. And if you are the one watching, then nothing that happens on the screen can define you. Not your past, not your fears, not even your own mind. I started practicing this awareness every moment I could. Every time the voice said, "You're failing," I'd whisper back, "That's not me. That's just a thought." When it said, "You'll never find peace," I said, "That's not me. That's just noise." And eventually, the voice stopped trying so hard, like a fire that burns itself out from lack of fuel. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's powerful, but how do I get there? Here's where it gets practical. The mysterious gift came with a method. It's something I've since called the return. It's ancient, but it works instantly when done right. And you can start using it right now. Ready? Step 1, become the watcher. Right now, close your eyes for 5 seconds. Notice the next thought that pops up. It could be anything. Now ask yourself, who noticed that thought? That's you. The real you. The watcher. Stay there. Breathe from that place. Step 2, return to the present. Your thoughts live in the past and the future. But peace only lives in the now. Every time the voice pulls you into what if or why did I, gently say, come back, return, and feel your breath. Step 3, speak to the voice with love. When the inner voice lashes out, try this, imagine it as a 5-year-old version of yourself. Scared, alone, trying to help. Instead of yelling at it, hold it. Say, it's okay. You don't have to protect me anymore. I see you now. This practice alone has brought people to tears. And I've taught it to CEOs, monks, soldiers, and even children. Each time, the result is the same, a moment of silence so profound it changes something forever. Now, I promised you something no one has ever shown online before. So here it is. On day 33, my final day in the cave, I had the most bizarre and beautiful experience of my life. It started with a dream. In the dream, I was walking through a field of mirrors again. But this time, each mirror shattered as I passed. Behind every broken piece was an image of someone I had judged, old friends, enemies, even strangers from years ago. And as I forgave each one, the mirrors turned into windows, open, bright, and peaceful. Then I saw myself, but not as I am, as a child, crying. And a voice said, "You cannot have peace with your voice until you make peace with your pain." I woke up sobbing. And in that moment, I did something I had never done before. I held my pain. I said to my past, to my regrets, to my traumas, You are welcome here. I won't run from you anymore. And something miraculous happened. It felt like a floodgate opened in my chest. A warmth poured in. My breath deepened. And the voice, the one that had plagued me for decades, didn't just go quiet. It bowed. It became still. Like it had been waiting for this moment. Waiting for me to stop fighting and start listening with compassion. And that's when I saw it. The inner voice is not our curse. It's our teacher. When it's chaotic, it's showing us where we haven't healed. When it's angry, it's revealing where we haven't forgiven. When it's afraid, it's asking us to return to presence. We spend our lives trying to silence something that is actually trying to guide us. But only when we stop identifying with it can we receive its wisdom. So I left the cave not with less mind, but with more clarity. Not with silence forced by effort, but silence born from understanding. And the world looked different. When I returned to the city, I noticed things I'd never seen before. People rushing with haunted eyes. Everyone glued to their phones. Not because they want to be, but because they can't bear the voice in their heads. And I realized something heartbreaking. Most of the world is suffering silently from internal noise. And they don't even know it. They think the stress, the anxiety, the addiction to success or approval or productivity, they think it's normal. But it's not normal. It's just common. And I made a vow that day. I would teach as many people as possible how to calm the voice. Not by escaping life, but by returning to who they really are. Now let me share one final mystical experience that ties this all together, and it might be the most powerful of all. 3 months after I returned home, I was teaching the return method to a small group in the forest. One man, deeply skeptical, asked me, "If you're so peaceful, why do you still speak? Why not just live in silence forever?" And I said, "Because peace was never meant to be hoarded. It was meant to be shared." That night, we lit a small fire, and as we sat in silence, something happened that none of us can explain to this day. The fire suddenly flared, without wind, without fuel, and above the flames. For less than 2 seconds, we saw what looked like a symbol appear. It shimmered like gold. It looked like a spiral within a spiral, almost like an eye turning inward. No one spoke. But we all felt it. A stillness so vast, so loving, that even the skeptics wept. And I knew. We had all touched it. True peace. Not an idea. Not a feeling. But a presence. And that night, one of the participants said something I'll never forget. "I used to think the voice in my head was who I am. But tonight, I met the one who listens. And he is free." So I want to ask you something. Have you ever truly met the one who listens? Have you ever turned inward, not to think, not to analyze, but to see? If not, what are you waiting for? The war inside your head doesn't end with victory. It ends with surrender. Surrender to presence, to awareness, to the part of you that was never wounded in the first place. Because beneath all the noise, is you, the real you, the eternal watcher, silent, aware, free. In the final segment of this video, I'm going to show you how to take this transformation and anchor it into your daily life, even in the chaos of work, family, and stress. You'll learn a sacred routine I call the inner sanctuary, built from ancient practices and modern neuroscience, that will make peace your natural state, not a momentary escape. And I'll reveal the final secret that was given to me in the desert by a woman who claims to have met the same mysterious figure I saw in the cave. But she says she was given the other half of the prophecy. And what she told me, it changes everything. The prophecy has a second half, and her message changed my destiny forever. You remember the figure in the cave? The one in white robes who whispered, "The voice in your head is not your enemy. It's just never been seen." I thought that was the end of the message. But I was wrong. 3 months after returning home, I was traveling through the Mojave Desert, seeking a place to integrate what I'd learned. I'd been hosting silent retreats, teaching the return method, and watching people transform before my eyes. But there was still one part of the puzzle that felt incomplete. It came to me in the most unexpected way. I had stopped in a tiny town with a population of less than 100. I wasn't planning to stay, but something drew me in. As I sat at a dusty old cafe, an elderly woman walked up to me. She looked into my eyes like she already knew me. "You've met him, haven't you?" she said. I froze. "Who?" I asked, though in my heart I already knew. She smiled softly. "The man in white. He came to me 33 years ago. Gave me a message. Said I'd meet the other half one day." That's when I realized I was the other half. Chills ran through my body. We walked to her small desert home, filled with ancient texts, candlelight, and symbols I'd only seen in dreams. She handed me a worn leather journal. Inside, on the very first page, were the words, "The voice is not your enemy. It is just never been seen." And beneath it, in faded ink, "But peace is not found in silence alone. Peace is found when the one who listens becomes the one who loves." That second line hit me like lightning. Up until that point, I had been resting in awareness, becoming the watcher, detaching from thought, and it was peaceful. But it was also distant, like I was floating above life. But this was something else. This wasn't just about watching the voice. It was about embracing it, integrating it, loving it until the voice itself transformed. The woman told me a story. She had spent decades meditating in silence, but her breakthrough didn't come until one day. She stopped trying to transcend her humanity, and began to bless it. "I looked at my flaws," she said, "my fears, my shame, my regrets, and I whispered, 'You are holy too.'" That night, she claimed, the same robed figure returned to her in a dream and said, "Now the voice has found a home. Now peace is eternal." She called this the second half of the prophecy, and it changed everything. Because peace isn't about escaping the voice. It's about welcoming it into the light. It's about showing your inner voice what love feels like, real, unconditional, divine love. So I created a new practice from this revelation. Something I now teach to every person who wants more than just quiet. They want transformation. I call it the inner sanctuary. Here's how it works. Do this every morning, even if you only have 5 minutes. 1. Enter the room. Close your eyes. Visualize a sacred, warm room inside your chest. This is your sanctuary. No voice is banned here. All is welcome. 2. Call in the voice. Say inwardly, "Come." Speak freely. Let the inner voice say whatever it wants. Don't judge it. Don't fix it. Just witness. 3. Bow to the voice. This part changes everything. Imagine bowing to the voice like it's an old teacher. Not because it's right, but because it's honest. Whisper, "Thank you for trying to protect me." 4. Flood the room with love. Imagine a soft golden light pouring into the sanctuary. Let it touch the voice. Let it surround your thoughts like a warm embrace. Feel the shift. 5. End in silence. Rest in the stillness that follows. This is not forced silence, it's earned. It's the silence that comes after reconciliation, after peace. The results? Unbelievable. I've watched people break lifelong patterns in days. I've seen trauma melt. I've seen skeptics become seekers. Because when you love your voice, it loves you back. And here's the twist, your voice, once healed, becomes an ally. It stops screaming. It starts guiding. It begins to speak truth, insight, clarity. It becomes like a sacred inner compass, instead of a drill sergeant. And it all starts with compassion. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus was a decorated war veteran, tormented by the voice in his head. He tried therapy, pills, distractions. Nothing worked. Until one night at a retreat, I led him through the inner sanctuary. He sat in silence, tears streaming down his face. Later, he told me the voice said for the first time, "I just didn't want you to die." It wasn't evil. It was scared. And when Marcus whispered, "I love you anyway," something broke. He said the voice became still as a lake. That's the power you carry. Not to kill the voice, but to heal it. And I'll leave you with this final, unforgettable moment, the one that sealed my journey forever. I was meditating alone in the desert, one last time before leaving. The sky was a canvas of stars. No wind, no sound, just my breath. And I asked aloud, "What now?" A shooting star blazed across the sky. And deep within, a voice, not the anxious one, not even the mysterious one, my own voice said, "Now, live." It was no longer about escaping the mind, or transcending life. It was about being fully here. Fully human. Fully free. So here's my invitation to you, right now. Step into your sanctuary. Invite your inner voice to speak. Then love it so completely, so unconditionally, that it has no choice but to surrender into peace. Because peace is not a goal. Peace is your nature, revealed only when the war within is met with the weapon of love. And if you've watched this far, then you're ready. Ready to stop running. Ready to stop fighting. Ready to return. So breathe. Feel the silence behind these words. And remember, you are not the noise. You are not the thoughts. You are not even the voice. You are the space in which it all arises. And you are already free. Now go, live in peace. And when the voice returns, and it will, welcome it home, hold it, and say, "I see you, I love you, you are safe now." Because the war is over. If this journey moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone you love. Comment below with what your inner voice has been saying, and what you're ready to say back. And hit like so more people can hear the voice behind the voice. And find the peace they've been craving their whole lives.